Hello everybody, welcome to Honestly Rated, and today we're going to be talking about your favorite time-using, time-bending Skylander, Déjà Vu. Déjà Vu is a quirky one, and I am glad that you guys decided that you wanted to see a video on her, which I'm going to do again. So, I'm just going to put it out here right now and right in the beginning. If you want to see a Skylander, made a video on, put it down, but also like the people that you might also like seeing, because I'm picking the most liked one again. The last one was like Spitfire, so maybe you got another chance if you put him down again. But today is Déjà Vu, and yeah, she is a quirky one, she is a cool one, and I cannot wait to go into her moveset. But we're going to talk about the lore first, because we all love knowing a little bit of trivia about our favorite Skylander. So, how did Déjà Vu even become a character? Well, she was just a kind of average Joe of a person. She was just trying to figure out how to make a 3-minute egg in half the time. So she was concocting this big machine. She got the plans for the Tower of Time. She also got some magic tombs, and she was working on it, and some evil slugs came by and decided that they wanted to use it for themselves. They wanted to go at supersonic speed. But, quick thinking from Déjà Vu, before they could actually take it and use it for their evil doing, she set the clock to 13, which caused the boom, big explosion. And apparently all of that energy, all that magic that she shoved into there, got transferred into her, and she became able to bend time, which then she kicked the slugs' asses and said, booyah. And now she is a Skylander for all of us to use, and thank God, because again, this is a cool Skylander. Let's get into it with her first two moves. On to the first two moves, we got space-time shots and past selves. Now, space-time shots are kind of a funky little projectile here. These actually were able to swirl around enemies, so they'll constantly go through them, swirl around them, and it does like figure eights, and it constantly comes back to hit an enemy more and more. And what you can kind of tell is that it's not very damaging, but, over time it will, and especially if you have a big crowd, it is going to hurt a lot to that big crowd. Déjà Vu, maybe summed up in a couple words, would probably be just area killer. She is excelling at being able to just kill anything that's around those bullets and inside those bullets. It is insane. It's like if you got a bunch of flies, let them starve for I don't even know how long flies could live for without eating any food, and then sent them swarming to like a big pile of meat. It's gone. It's gonna be gone, and that is exactly how she is able to wipe. But we're still in the beginning phase, so it's not as good as a wipe. It still takes a little bit. She doesn't have a lot of health, so you have to be a little bit careful. And I didn't even talk about the past self yet, which is just making a carbon copy of yourself that can't jump, but it will just follow you around. It will do almost exactly everything you do. It's not like it copies exactly. It's just like a follower, and it'll shoot. It'll do the other move that we'll learn eventually, and it could do a lot more crazier things in the beginning. And you can also teleport to it. The only thing that I have like a niche little complaint in the beginning with it is that since it's not really that far, I really don't see much use in teleporting. So keep that in mind. Maybe you can find a bigger use, but I definitely see the use in the future. So with foresight, it's a lot more useful. Next up is going to be the Time Rift, which is actually her next move, which is not common to see. This Time Rift is basically a tide pool. You put it on the ground, you can shoot at it to create a black hole, which will kind of suck in. I kind of just see it more as like, if you place it next to an enemy and the black hole appears, the enemy tends to not want to leave. They can't, they just don't walk. They just stay in it. And it's pretty good. It's a nice little explosion. Something cooler, though, that I find for it is that how they worded it and how they allowed it to be used. Since Déjà Vu's bullets are these, like, figure eights, they spin around a lot, they target enemies, they just flow through everything, doing, like, the actual action to create the black hole is inevitable. It is not hard to get the black hole to get started. And I find that really nice, because sometimes it's a little hard to try to get the secondary effect of a move, especially if that secondary effect is a little out of the range of possibilities. For some characters, placing something down like this and trying to shoot it isn't the easiest because you have to run. If there's a big pack, you got to keep running. You can't really look back and start shooting at the black hole just to try to get some enemies killed. With her, you can just keep running, place it, run it, and eventually it will just explode because you were able to hit it. So Nice. And we'll see many more of these examples in the future. Next, we're upgrading our little noodle to have some long-term memory, which is going to allow us to have our carbon copy to last longer. Again, right when I said it, like when we first got it, it was going to be an upgrade. And personally, I think it definitely needed it. I don't think it would be as good if it didn't have this upgrade. Now, we can actually show off the secondary use of this upgrade, where it can explode if left long enough. Now, the reason this wasn't really possible in the beginning is because it would die kind of early. Any hit usually took it out. But now, since it's lasting longer and has more of a health, it's not going to happen as much. So, it is able to live as long as it can and do a nice little grand slam, which does roughly 70 damage at level 15, which is pretty cool. And another cool thing is that, as you saw there, as I use those black holes or those time portals, the actual, carbon copy also uses it. So it also places it. The only problem right now is that, well, since it places it too, we can only have one. So it's kind of like useless. Like, it doesn't do anything right now. So, oops. But it is cool to mention, and maybe will be useful in the future. But I like this upgrade. It's not even like an obligatory like damage upgrade or anything like that. It's really just a really useful upgrade. Wow, who would have guessed that one thing I just said like a couple seconds ago is true with time rifts aplenty. Now with our rifts, we can have multiple on the ground, and they also attract our orbs. Even though our orbs were probably going to hit it anyways, now we're guaranteeing it. And with that mention of more rifts, now you can see why our double actually does place our rifts, because this upgrade was obligatory. We're going to have it. And I wonder which one came first, if I had to be honest with you. I wonder if they just had the idea to be able to have multiple rifts, and they're like, yeah, sure, let's give it to her. Or they were going to be like, oh, we sure going to give it to her. It's kind of stupid to not have them more if they're just not going to be able to do it. I wonder which one came first. But as you can tell, it's a good upgrade. It fixed a defect that I pointed out in the last time. And now we're kind of back at a clean state. Deja Vu right now realistically doesn't have any negatives. I still see like teleporting a little pointless, but I don't know. We'll see in the future. Maybe it will become even more of a useful tool. Last up on our primary path is circular logic, which got me scratching my head for a little bit. The description says that our past selves can shoot, which is like, yeah, it's been able to do it the whole time. What does that even mean? Is this just a broken upgrade? No. What it actually means is that our past selves are just going to be able to shoot bullets constantly without us having to press the shoot button. So now we're having ourselves shoot, that's one bullet. The bot shoot because we're shooting, so that's 2 bullets. And the bot shooting again just by itself, like a natural turret. So we're getting a lot of orbs being able to fly here, and a lot of damage is racking up because of it. And it's another good upgrade. Now you can see it as an obligatory like damage upgrade because we're just having another orb in there, which means that the damage is going to fly faster. But I see it a little bit more as that because of how the orbs work. Since the orbs are actually able to hit anything around it, it's more than just a damage upgrade. It is a full-on massacre. It's going crazy. I think at this point, it was hard for me to get just solid clips of one round. Usually a round would take me like 3 minutes or so just to be able to kill everything and make sure that I display it properly. After this point, it's going to be hard for me to display stuff because these orbs are going to be able to kill a lot of things very quickly. And that's not even the end of it. So the paths can only help. No hurting here. So let's go on to the paths with the top path first. Now we're going to the top path, which is going to improve path selves with Remember to Live. With our first one going to be Explosion Deja Vu. This is where the teleporting, in my eyes, becomes its best use. So, the reason why I see it as this is because you can teleport when the bot or our past selves are doing the explosion. Now we're going to be able to do up to 3. So now you can put yourself more into a dangerous situation, teleport, and those bots' explosions are going to go to where you were last because you're switching places with that bot. So now you can see it more of a tactical use for when the bot dies than just, trying to get lucky with it, trying to get hit. And sometimes enemies do want to, like, go attack the bot, but it's not common. I don't find it too common. It sometimes happens. It's sometimes they like to chase them, but usually they like chasing you. So, you get a big crowd again. Right when it explodes, just switch between you two, and you can go run off while the explosions happen at a merciful glee. you know? So, good. It's already upgrading our damage. It made more of a use to the explosions. I found the explosions to be a little wonky, again, just because it isn't a big explosion. It's pretty small. And if the bots aren't following our pass selves or our pass selves are not lined up properly, it tends to do nothing. So, being able to have a clear shot at being able to teleport the explosion is good. Like, you could have done it from the beginning, but I think this just allows you to guarantee you can get some hits off of it. Next up here, we have Time Heals All Wounds. So now when our pass self is going to take damage, we're going to heal ourselves. And this is pretty fucking cool. Obviously, health regeneration is one of the most powerful things you can get in a game like this because now we don't have to resort to having to find food, anything like that. We can simply just have our pass selves there. And usually since the pass self is behind you, if you're taking damage, normally your pass self is also going to be taking some damage. And you can definitely switch your pass self into where you are now to soak up that damage, which then you're going to get health yourself. And how the healing system works in here is not a set number, it's not a fixed ratio. It is variable. It will change depending on what you get hit by. If you're getting hit by a pretty strong move, the move makes sure that you're getting roughly the same amount of health. As you saw there, the clone took 45 damage, and we took 41. That took 55, 40. Like, we have the same amount, which is very cool and very good, especially for harder runs. Because since more things are going to be able to do more damage, if you go for the top path, you tend to be able to heal the damage that you might have taken already pretty easily, right? Like, it's not that hard. If the AI does want to attack them, go for it. It's super cool, and it's a very good upgrade. And unique. We haven't seen it yet in this character, and that's something I want to say a little bit right now as we get closer to the end. The moves so far have been pretty unique. A lot of them don't tend to repeat themselves. I'm not seeing a lot of damage upgrades or anything like that. She is perfectly staying herself, but just adding more things to her that make her crazier and crazier until we hit the end. Last up is going to be space-time duality. Now this is going to allow us to shoot 2 of the time shots at once. Now, again, you could see this as an obligatory damage upgrade, but I see it a little different. Because since we're shooting 2 now, and if we have a lot of enemies on the screen, the orbs do just track things themselves. So it's not like both bullets are going to go hit the same guy. The bullets are going to spread and shoot at different things. So it's more of like an area damage upgrade, not even just a damage upgrade in itself. We're doing a lot of damage to everything on the screen. It's like a tacular nuke. And if you think about it, our past selves are probably going to be there too, right? Like, it's a very key thing to use for Déjà Vu, is using our past selves. So now we're shooting 2 at once. Our past self doesn't shoot 2, but still shoots 2, technically because of the added self shot that she can do. So we're shooting 4 bullets roughly at the speed of sound. That is a lot of flying orbs going around the sky. And it's fucking beautiful. Oh my god, it's like a fireworks show on 4th of July. It is so pleasant to look at, seeing all the numbers flying, enemies dying. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, top path so far, fucking squeaky clean. I love this path so much. We got health, we got damage, and we got fucking beauty. That's what it is. It's a chef's kiss. Bottom path time, which we have Live to Remember, which also improves our past selves attacks, though. We have Warp Field and Past Self Paralysis, which in this video, this is the only time where I've actually grouped up 2 together, if you don't count the beginning ones. But, you know, that always happens, you know? It's what you get in the beginning. It's the first 2 moves you get. But usually when I have to group up things, if you haven't watched any of these series yet, usually tends to mean that one of these upgrades a little more or less don't really have enough of like a talking point for me to care for. So I have to group up 2 just because one of them is probably the more unique one and the other one's just kind of whatever. The reason I'm grouping up these 2 is because they work off very well of each other. So the first one is allowing you to shoot at yourself, which again, the orbs, they fly. They're just going to tend to hit your past self at some point. And it's going to be able to bring enemies in. Now, our damage is also increased for our past selves because it's our first actual damage upgrade, which again, round of applause for Déjà Vu. That is not very common. And we are able to stun our enemies in a paralysis. As you see there, that rat is not moving. He is stuck there. And I can't guarantee why or when this happens, when it paralyzes. It just does. And it doesn't happen to like on a big range, but it does. What this like bring in feature really does, I really couldn't tell you. This path, this bottom path in general, is a lot more weaker to the top one, but I still find it pretty unique, and I still find it that you could have fun with it. I really can't tell you what the usage of bringing in the enemies is. I guess it's one way to also guarantee they're going to be able to hit the ground pound right there, which also again I think creates that stun. I think that's actually the thing that is creating the stun, and by that form, it's doing pretty well. I think the top path also allows you to be able to hit that ending move, but a lot better because we're hitting a tree. We're hitting 3 of them, or at least 2 of them, because we can just swap. And it gives swapping a lot bigger of a feature. This one takes away a lot more of the swapping, and just, if it happens, you know? Which, not bad, but I think the top one does it, and also applies a lot more gimmicks to it. Last but not least, we got Go Out with a Bang, which allows for our past selves to be able to shoot a bunch of orbs every time we switch, and it explodes. So, here we go again. So now we have a lot more of an implementation of switching, which, good. I like that, because switching, again, doesn't really do a lot since the enemy, or your clone, is usually next to yourself. And if you switch to it, you'll probably get hit. So now, they try to create this falsetto with saying like, well, we're gonna give you this big burst of energy, and you know there'll be a bunch of things flying. But I think the top path still does this better because if we have the double shooter, we're still shooting 4 bullets every single like second or so. So we're already getting a bunch of damage there. This is just another way of trying to get it, but it's a little slower. Because something I didn't mention was that every single time that you do switch, it's a little bit of a time lapse before you can actually start shooting again, because she'll say something, she'll do something, she does like a little hi-ya, you know, huzzah. And while not being bad, I definitely think the top pass still does it. I like it. I like how it gives a lot more like use of switching. It helps a lot more, and it doesn't make that feature go bye bye. But that's it. That's all I got for you. If I had to say which one to go for, I definitely say it would be the top one. But we still have one more thing, and that is the soul gem. So let's go see if it's actually a good soul gem or not. Here we are at the end with Black Hole Bedlam. Our time rifts can now turn into massive, gigantic, beautiful black holes. And it's good. Have you probably seen while you're watching the videos that a lot of the upgrades, like they said, were tending more to the past selves, and sometimes they fit a little around with the bullets, but that still kind of helped the past in the way. And nothing really worked or came out of the actual other upgrades, right? Like there was nothing with the portals, nothing with the projectiles, kind of. And some people maybe see that as a little bit of defect, and especially like when it comes to me rating things, I usually say I like to see diversity. And personally, I think they did enough diversity with the copy themselves to still warrant it very well. And this Soul Gem was out here to kind of fix that by giving at least a portal a little something, a little treat, and they made it so fucking good. Is doing 11 damage per hit with all the blue things that fiddle around and fly around, like the vases, the little rectangles, which I, personally I can't even see. And it does a lot. So if we go with like the top path, it's already doing a lot of damage, right? Because we're having so many things flown out and stuff like that. It gets chaotic. I personally don't even think you would be able to see the screen. It would just be a bunch of like fireflies flying around your screen, and it would look beautiful. Again, like it would look like a fucking light show. And I think Déjà Vu is probably the best character re-rated so far, honestly rated. Which, let's get to. I think we've done enough babbling about this to say where I think I stand and what I feel about this character at the end of it all. After taking a look at this character, can I say that Déjà Vu will stand the test of time with this moveset? And it's an astound. Yes, she will live on forever being a very good character. And again, I'm sorry, I can't remember. Whoever suggested it, you picked a gem right here. This is probably a 5 out of 5. I won't even lie to you. She is everything that is perfect in a Skylander. She makes me want to use everything, right? I can use portals. I want to use my past selves. Obviously, I'm using my ranged self. She is a ranged character. Teleporting, even though I found it kind of redundant, they made moves to make sure that you would want to teleport, and there was use behind it. It was amazing. She was able to fill every single category that I wanted, even though she is a character that doesn't necessarily have an upgrade for every single thing, like the Black Pole. It only has 3 upgrades in her entire path, which one of them is just getting the upgrade itself. That is amazing. That is super cool. Like, it still felt super diverse. It was all based around a past self, and they were able to make a diverse character with a bunch of things. The only thing that I can say remotely negative is that she is a character that really is only a lane heavy, right? When I see it like a perfect like 5 out of 5, I want to have both paths be something where they're both incredibly amazing. But I will say the top one here is leaning a lot more to my favorable side, but maybe that's me. You know, I like seeing damage. I like seeing everything flow, and I see like everything there. And maybe you can see something that the bottom path I can't personally see, but I can still see the bottom path still having some use. This is bottom path gameplay. This looks insane. I like the top path. I couldn't even fathom, you know? So, yeah, I really like Déjà Vu. She is probably the best honestly rated character I've had so far to enjoy. And there is a legendary version of her that looks amazing, and I suggest you go get that one. But you should go get Déjà Vu. If you have not got her yet, because maybe you thought she looked weird, maybe you didn't like you saw some gameplay and you're like, I don't know if I really want her, get her. She is amazing to play, and an amazing character to be in Imaginators, because you already know how characters over time really don't really merge well. So good job, Déjà Vu. To a character that I never personally cared for in the past, to now being probably one of my favorites. I probably will still play her for fun. Like, that's super cool. But just to leave it at a note again, you guys are picking the Skylanders these times, and probably for the rest of Honestly Rated. So leave down who you want to see, but also like some characters that you also might want to see as well, because now it's up to you guys. I don't want to be on here anymore, just because it feels a little bit too biased at that point. And Honestly Rated should be more of a fan service to you guys. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like this content. Skylander content should be more in a rotational flow because of all the multiverses news and everything going, you know, ham wire out of nowhere, and me being sick and all. So that's it. That's all I got to say. Thank you for watching, and I hopefully will see you in the next one. Peace.